Hi, and welcome to week 6. I'm going to provide an explanation of week 6 to you as I have in the previous weeks. This week you're going to start off by viewing the video as you are right now, and then you should have read your Batchelder book, and you're going to discuss your Batchelder book and why we are calling them the Batchelder books, because these are books that have been given the award from a person that was designated for this award, Helen Batchelder, who is a librarian, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Batchelder Award in your literacy circle this week. Don't forget that this week your major assignment, the self-selected virtual library, is due, and you need to post that in the self-selected virtual library Dropbox. Now, if you remember correctly, and if you've looked ahead or you have looked at this assignment, you know that you're going to be using Google Books, and you want each shelf in your Google book to represent one of the genres that we've talked about these last few weeks and during the summer. So there'll be 8 genres there. You can need to put, I think, 3 books from each genre on each shelf, but you just need to read 19 picture books and 5 novels. You're welcome to use your required readings and add those to your library that we have read this semester, or this summer, excuse me, but you cannot use that as part of your 19, so that would be above and beyond. And you don't have to write a review for them, because I know you can do that with Google Books as well, but what you're just doing is posting them. This will be a library you might use in your classroom, and your students, you might create that, have them create it so it keeps track of the books they're reading, and I think you'll enjoy the assignment. But make sure you do post that this week in your self-selected virtual library. Now we're looking at fantasy and folklore this week. So let's take a look. You're going to start off with discussing or looking at some fantasy, and you're going to read one of the readings below, and you're going to respond to one of the following questions. So from either the article, The Campaign for Shiny Futures, or Missing on a Diverse Worlds. These are 2 articles that are posted below. You pick one of them, and if you do both, of course, you'll get extra credit for the week. But in the first article, the author here discusses how there's an absence of racial and cultural diversity in the protagonists of fantasies and in the cultural imagery employed by fantasy authors. Discuss how you would address the lack of diversity in this genre in your classroom. What would you do and why? Or you can read the second article from The Campaign for Shiny Futures. Currently, we live in a world where fiction that provides insight into the human condition, usually defined as emotion, is lauded as having the ultimate literary value. This is not a given, but part of the current cultural moment. Other values, learning about the mechanics of the world, for example, which were once celebrated both in education and hierarchies of reading lists, are received uncertainly. We may want children to learn science and languages, but our societies regard children and adults who enjoy doing that as a bit odd. Do you enjoy science fiction? If so or not, do you agree with this author's point? Make sure you reference both the article you decide to use on the question you decide to respond to. Now you're going to critique some folklore. This can be your choice of A or B, and if you complete both, you get extra credit. So in A, you're going to respond to the questions below in regards to critiquing folklore or folktales. In the March-April 2009 issue of the Hornbook magazine, Joanna Rouge Long explores what makes a good 3 Little Pigs in her article, Some Pigs. Read her article found below and decide if you agree or disagree with her decisions and the reasons why. You're going to post your responses in this week's Dropbox. You will answer that question if you decide to do A, and this question. Folk tales, especially the Western European fairy tales such as Cinderella and Snow White, have been criticized as having sexist stereotypes. In some ways, this criticism seems valid when one considers that folktale characters are stereotyped. However, the genre, rooted in an ancient oral tradition, reflects its origins. Folktales echo the culture in which they arose. This presents an interesting dilemma. Are the stereotypes present in folktales, such as the beautiful, kind, and helpless princess, bad? Will they damage today's children's concepts of gender-appropriate behavior? Can one story be that powerful, or is it a collection of stories that we have to consider? You're going to post your responses to both of these questions in the Dropbox. Or you can tell a story. So the second part is storytelling, pretty much critiquing folklore or fairy tales, but you're going to be creating that in how you present the story. So you're going to share a folktale story, or it can be a a fairy tale, by telling. You're not reading the book, you're telling the story in a video of yourself, sharing the story with us. You can use the book as a guide, as you see that I have in the video below, but you do not read the story to us. You're going to tell us the story. Please use the storytelling tips found below. I have created a video of me sharing a story. It is a fractured fairy tale. Fractured fairy tales are a take on original fairy tales, and it has a little different slant to them, or a little different story to them. And I'm telling you a story about Goldilocks, but as an older woman, and how she tries to repair the damage she did to the three bears' house. So it's a cute story if you haven't read it yet, but I am telling you this story in here. And so what you will be doing is creating a video of you, and the video will be on you as it is on me here, retelling a story. It can be a folklore, it can be a fairy tale, it can be a fractured fairy tale, as well as I did here. You're going to post your video in the Dropbox, and then you're going to look to see if any other of your colleagues have done the same. You're going to comment using one of the ideas from the tips as a point of evaluation, and you can do that for me and one of their colleagues. And you can see my video here as well. Then you need to take a look at evaluating a science fiction or a fantasy book. So after reading chapter 6 in our textbook and the PowerPoint below here, you're going to evaluate a fantasy or science fiction book from your self-selected, or it could be from your self-selected library, using the evaluation questions. These are the evaluating questions here. When you click on that, you'll see that. And last but not least, which seems like a very long lesson today, because but you have choices this week, especially in several of the activities. You're going to view the Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lesmore. It is a wonderful book with beautiful pictures. I wish I could show this to you in person. This short film won an Academy Award, and it's based on a fantasy picture book by the same title. Locate a website about this book and share what you would use from the website in creating a lesson for the use of the book. You do not need to create a lesson plan, just list your ideas from the website information, link the website you use so I know which one you've used, and post your list of ideas in this Dropbox. Those are the activities for this week. Now, here are some reminders. I told you some of these at the beginning of this video. Now I'm going to state them one more time to you. Don't forget to post your posting of your Batchelder book in your Reader's Response blog this week. You could do that after or before your literacy discussion group. You're going to your literacy circle. You're going to post your self-selected virtual library, and you're going to put that in the self-selected virtual library Dropbox. Then you also need to read your informational text for next week, and that's the one that's assigned to your literacy circle. That's for week 7. And week 7 is your library field experience. If you were not able to actually physically go to a library and volunteer this summer, then you'll need to create the virtual library field experience, which you will find in the major assignments folder. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask a colleague or to ask somebody in your literacy circle. And if they can't respond, I'll be glad to help you out as well. That's it for this week, week 6. I wish you lots of luck, and I hope you are very successful in completing the activities and having some fun in choosing which ones you want to do this week as well, in regards to the activities that have choices. I'll see you hopefully in Literacy Circle. Otherwise, I'll see you online. Have a great week.